How are we doing, football fans? Today, which is Saturday, we're going to be doing Week 7 predictions. Now, the Packers and Bears already played, so I'm not going to be predicting that one, obviously. But we're going to do the rest of them. Let's see. We have the first game in London this year. I suppose that's where it is. 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Giants or Rams. I'm going to take the Giants in that game. I think Odell Beckham Jr. and Eli Manning connected a lot last week against the Ravens, and I think they're going to roll. They may roll because the Rams defense hasn't played up to par yet this year. We've got Cleveland. Oh no, wait. We've got the Saints and the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Saints here because I just think Drew Brees can out quarterback anybody, and in this case, especially with a West Coast offense like the Chiefs, I think the Saints may go off. Let's see, Vikings and Eagles. The Vikings off their bye week this week. Eagles didn't play too well. Carson Wentz last week was only 11 for 22. Didn't even get to 200 yards. So I predict the Vikings are going to go off. Remember, the Vikings defense has been absolutely incredible this year. So I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. Next we have the Colts and Titans. I think last week let's look at the results here. We've got, I have the stuff written down. Okay. Colts and Titans. The Titans beat the Browns last week, which you can't. I mean, that was obvious. Mariota played very well. Let's see where the Colts at here. I don't remember. I can't even find the Colts on here. They didn't have a bye week. So, let's see. See if we can find them. Nope. Did I even write down the Colts last week? I may not have. Oh yeah, Houston and Indianapolis was the Sunday night game last week. Luck had a touchdown, a pick, and a rushing touchdown. I'm going to pick the Titans in this game because I just think Marcus Mariota is a he's one of the truest double threats that we have in the National Football League to this point. And I think that he may not go off like he did last week with 3 touchdowns, but I think he'll end up beating the Colts. Especially with that backfield of DeMarco Murray and Dexter McCluster. Next we have the Bills and the Dolphins. The Dolphins beat the Steelers last week, but if we remember, it's because Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he wasn't playing well before he got injured, but I think the fact that he was out had a big effect on that game. The Bills continue to be hot, so I'm going to pick the Bills here because Tyrod Taylor's playing very well this year. Their offense and defense are both tremendous so far. So I think I'm going to pick the Bills here. Redskins and Lions. Kirk Cousins starting for the Redskins. Also, again, I should say, the Lions, they didn't play Justin Forsett last week because they already have I wouldn't say a dual threat in the backfield, but they have, viable running backs. I'm going to take the Lions here just because I think the Lions passing attack is going to outdo the Redskins passing attack. So I think that's going to determine the game. Let's see. Browns and Bengals now. Browns at 0-6. Cincinnati at 2-4. Cincinnati has been very very disappointing, I think, this year because we all expected a three-team race as usual, and you have Pittsburgh at 4-2, Baltimore at 3-3. It's still very, very close, but the Bengals have been very underwhelming this year. However, I do think the Bengals get the win here. I think Andy Dalton and A.J. Green probably go off on the Browns defense. And I don't think the Browns started Cody Kessler last week, so I imagine he's probably going to start again because he didn't play too bad. But I still pick the Bengals to win this game. Next, we have the Raiders and the Jags. Bortles, you have Bortles in that receiving core for the Jags. You have Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. I think Derek Carr and Amari Cooper and the Raiders win this game due to the Jaguars' turnovers because they've been very prone for interceptions. Blake Bortles has this year. So we're going to watch out for that. That could actually end up being a good game. Next, my Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Jets. Geno Smith will start over Ryan Fitzpatrick this week. I think that was announced probably a couple days ago. The Ravens coming off 3 straight losses after starting the season 3-0. Again, no offensive coordinator. Joe Flacco also has a shoulder injury of some kind, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays, and if he plays, how long. Again, you still have Steve Smith injured. I'm not sure about C.J. Mosley still, so you never know. And Terrell Suggs is coming back at some point. I don't think it's this week, but he will be back. And that's the final 1 o'clock game. Now we go to Chargers and Falcons. Chargers played very, very well last week for the most part. Falcons lose primarily because of a pass interference call that wasn't called. I think the Falcons probably win this game. I think it's probably a shootout because on one side you have Phillip Rivers who's been throwing bombs since 2005, and then Matty Ice who came in that same draft class as Joe Flacco. So he's definitely got an arm. Plus he's got Julio Jones, who I think is probably the best receiver in the league this year. Next you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the San Francisco 49ers. I think Kaepernick's starting again. Buccaneers had a pretty bad game against Carolina 2 weeks ago. So it should be interesting. I think Jameis Winston probably throws all over that 49ers defense because the 49ers got scrambled by the Bills last week. Next, we have the Patriots and the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger not playing, torn meniscus. I'm not sure if he had surgery yet, but if he's not, he's going to. So he's not going to play. So I'm not positive who their backup is. I think it's going to be Landry Jones will play, and obviously Tom Brady's back for the third week. So I think the Patriots probably go off on the Steelers this week. Okay, next we have the Seahawks and Cardinals as a Sunday night game. Per usual, these games usually turn out very, very close. The Seahawks beat the Falcons last week. The Cardinals ran all over the Jets. I think probably the Cardinals win just because David Johnson is quickly becoming one of the best running backs in the league this year. So I think he leads into victory. Obviously, Carson Palmer's back as well. Okay, Monday night we have the Houston Texans versus the Denver Broncos. Brock Osweiler returns to Denver for the first time since being traded. I don't trust Brock Osweiler to deliver a good performance. I mean, they have good weapons. They have DeAndre Hopkins, but I just think the Broncos defense is too powerful for the Texans. I think the Broncos are probably going to pounce all over the Texans for this week. So I predict the Broncos to win that. Again, things to watch for. Obviously, the Jets' quarterback troubles with Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith. If Geno plays bad, will they bench him for Fitzpatrick? Well, that remains to be seen. Again, Osweiler back in Denver this week, and if we look towards next week, we can look at Green Bay. Green Bay obviously rebounded from last week, losing 26-10. The interesting part for me is Jordy Nelson had 1 catch for 9 yards. So that's, I'm disappointed in that, mostly because he's my first wide receiver on my fantasy team. And my lock pick of the week is Pittsburgh and New England. I think New England is definitely going to pounce all over the Steelers without Ben Roethlisberger. So that was week 7, guys. Those are the predictions. I might start doing this every Saturday, just because it's an easier schedule for me. And also I might end up doing I might be adding more stuff during the week, not just football predictions, but like maybe some games, or possibly some wrestling stuff. Okay, possibly some wrestling stuff too. So I'll be prepared for that. I'm trying to come up with different stuff to do, because at this point it's like 1 upload a week, and I feel like I can do more than that. So I want to know what else I should do. Should I do wrestling? Should I do games? That kind of stuff. I'm still working on my Rant on the Run series. I haven't posted yet, but I've done a few videos so far. So make sure you let me know what you think about that, and make sure you hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot with the likes of the subscribes. Make sure that you also share if you can. Put in your input in the comments. What can I do better? This and that. What else I should do? And thank you guys for watching. And as always, win the day, my friends.